Remember that Inflation Reduction Act, the legislation that had nothing to do with actually bringing down the cost of living? It was a giant giveaway to the green energy complex, you know, climate crusaders like John Kerry. And a lot of it had to happen real fast after Biden lost the election. All in, we're talking about $20 billion right out the door to groups you have never heard of, including a whopping $6.9 billion to America's Green Bank, Climate United.
Well, billions from the IRA was spent on things like $358,000 EVs, $150,000 charging stations, and get this, an $800,000 salary for Power Forward Community's CEO.
EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin is now fighting the good fight, trying to claw back those funds.
The Free Press reporting that government reviews flagged the high salaries and conflicts of interest, but still handed out the billions anyway. The Free Press reporter, Madeleine Rowley, joins us now. Madeleine, great reporting. I mean, it's so rich. It's just amazing that more journalists are not looking at this. These stories write themselves, not to discredit what you did in pointing all this out, but it all comes from this greenhouse gas reduction fund that was part of the IRA, the horribly named Inflation Reduction Act, which was nothing but spending more government money. And 20 billion of that we've talked about that went to the EPA. But this is just one huge slush fund for taxpayers to pay this small group of people, woke people who are involved with these organizations, these nonprofits that could never make any money. They're nonprofits because the whole idea is unprofitable, right?
That's correct, David. And thanks so much for having me. That's exactly what I found. I reviewed hundreds of pages of FOIA documents for my article for the Free Press that came from the EPA. And these FOIA documents revealed that about 60 government reviewers who reviewed the applications for these 8 nonprofits who received the $20 billion in greenhouse gas reduction funding, these government reviewers had concerns themselves, and they noted that in the scoring rubrics of these nonprofit applications. These concerns ranged from the ability to oversee where these funds were going to, nonprofit executive salaries, as you mentioned, as well as being able to properly disperse these funds. So again, these reviews revealed lots of weaknesses, and yet these nonprofits were still given the money.
Madeleine, can these organizations, like if you look at some of these non-governmental organizations that got EPA grants, up to almost $500 million to Rewiring America, can they even exist now without the Democrats and Biden and his cronies funneling money to them?
Well, I think that's the main question. 4 of these NGOs have filed a lawsuit against the EPA and Citibank, where these funds are now frozen by the DOJ as the DOJ investigates how these funds were dispersed and the grant process that revealed these concerns. So that's these NGOs are struggling now to pay out their employees without these funds. And I noted in my article for the Free Press that several of these nonprofit coalitions were formed just to make a grab for this money. So some of these are totally brand new organizations, to include Power Forward Communities, which is linked to Georgia Democrat Stacey Abrams. They received $2 billion in funding, and one reviewer noted on their application that they had concerns about public perception and what the public would think about the CEO making $800,000, and that would rise to $947,000 per year at year 7. So one reviewer noted this, and again, the money was dispersed.
I quickly, if you can, did anybody break the law here? I mean, is there any law against just doling out billions of dollars to your friends?
Well, again, that's what this litigation is trying to currently determine. The EPA filed a brief earlier this week noting that they still plan to disperse these funds as required by law, but they would like to redo the grant process and do it in a way where the EPA has much more oversight over where this $20 billion is going to.
Well, it's Solyndra on steroids, if anybody remembers that. It's just awful. It is a gravy train. Thank God it stopped, but we got to claw back some of those billions. Madeleine, great reporting. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.